A very good evening to you all, and welcome to a packed Odsal Stadium for the biggest night in the Formula One Brisca year. The World Championship meeting has attracted a 15,000, 20,000 crowd here to Odsal. The figure yet to be confirmed. As you can see, most over on the popular side, on the cheap part rather than the expensive seats underneath the main stand. But a good crowd here for this night of nights. Well, the situation is with the World Championship that it is a one-off race, and it will take place as race number 2 on the programme. There will be 3 qualifying heats for the meeting final, including a consolation and a Grand National and a £1,000 all-comers race at the end of it all. 7-race programme, with the World Championship being a one-off race, heat number 2 of the night. So that is the situation. Cars are out for heats number 1, and of course the supporting heats to the World Championship feature non-qualifiers. Brian Beat, the starter here tonight, alongside the timbers that are laid down to prevent cars going onto the Bradford Northern Rugby League pitch in the middle, along now shared with Bradford City Football Club, following the terrible tragedy up at Valley Parade. Odsal having a new sporting partner to the stock cars, and also the World Championship Speedway that's taken place this year under the Sunbright banner. 3 white tops line up at the front row of heat number 1. Charles Pickering on the inside, 214. Along with him we have 370, Jeff Keeling behind him, and 424, Mike Hayward on the outside of Pickering. Don't often see the 424 car on the left of your picture there with the blue bonnet. Then we have the yellows, 57, Rob Lane, 419, Mick Stecco. More familiar faces here. 366, John Howell. Then we have the lady driver, Jane Bean, number 377. Former saloon stock car driver at High Edge. 34 in view. And 34 is, I'll take a gamble here, it's Ken Brown or Mal Brown. 34. It's 334 indeed, it's confirmed. 334, which makes it someone different entirely. Dave Atkinson. Looks like he also had 535 up there with him, which would make it Bob Baker or Dave Cusack. Those two are confusing as well. It's 535, Dave Cusack confirmed. On to the blue tops. We have there, it looks like Graham France, 216 on the inside, alongside John Wright, 128. Dave Tapping behind, 412. Then Graham Blundell, 156. Looks like we have Rob Cowley there as well, in number 73. And alongside Rob Cowley, can't quite make out the number, it looks like 367, which will make it Ian Smith from Bradford. And 2 cars in the back row, 34 being Mal Brown, confirmed at this time. And on the outside, 330, that's Mick Greenwood from Blackburn. Yes, there are 2 Browns racing, 34 and 35. There's Ken Brown, 35, and his son, Mal Brown, currently rated as a blue top. So those are the cars for heat number 1, or at least the lower order drivers. The top 8 qualified to the meeting final. You mustn't confuse the meeting final with the world final here tonight. On to the reds. Willie Harrison, number 2, 175, Rob Pearce, and 36, Rod Folding. Those are the 3 star drivers here in the seat 1. Those superstars, most of them have indeed qualified for the world final through the semi-finals at Aycliffe and at Bellevue. So it's standard formula for heat 1, 16 laps of this Odsal track. Cars lined up in grade order, the whites at the front, then the yellows, blues, and then the reds, all roof colours being assessed due to race points gained during the season. Top 20 are reds, then the next 30 are blues, and the remaining 50 drivers in the top 100 are yellows, with drivers outside the top 100 racing in white. There are 1 or 2 anomalies, of course, along the way, where drivers who cannot be downgraded, having achieved red, they can't go below a particular grade, and if they haven't had enough meetings in a particular grading period, which amounts to a month, they will retain their previous roof colour. Well, there is Jane Bean, 377, and Jane from Manchester, as I mentioned, raced in the saloon stocks at High Edge Raceway near Buxton before deciding to have a try at going the other way around. Became the first woman to win a race in Brisca Formula 1 for nigh on 25 years. I think that was here at Odsal earlier this season. So Jane Bean there, 377, looking for a sponsor like many drivers. Of course, stock cars do provide a superb billboard for advertisers, as we'll be seeing amongst the major drivers coming up in the world final. My goodness, some of those aerofoils just become billboards. literally. 5.35 in view there, Dave Cusack. The commentator's nightmare here and Bob Baker trying to remember which one's 5.35 and which one's 5.36. Both from Preston, but that's Cusack out there, 5.35. View there from the back of the grandstand. Lovely crowd in view there. As you can see, the seats towards the back fuller than those down at the front. Odsal, the subject of a thorough revamping over the last couple of years. Hardly any stock car racing here last year while the stadium was rebuilt. The tarmac was taken up and the shale was laid for the World Speedway final, which was held 2 weeks ago here at Odsal. So the new terracing in place. It was closed for the early season stock car meetings. This natural bowl transformed into one of the premier stadiums now of England, let alone the north. The stadium that once held 102,000 people for a Rugby League Cup final now has a limit of 37,000, but it's very early days in the rebuilding. This is just phase one, as they tell you here at Bradford. So Brian Beat sends the cars round on the rolling lap for Heat 1 in this World Championship meeting. Remind you, 8 cars qualify for the meeting final. Well, one man who's had a good record here at Bradford this year is Graham France. Indeed won the 1,000 prize Who Dares Wins award not so long ago here at Odsal. It's the feature of Stuart Bamforth's promotions here that he is running these £1,000 races, 10-lap races at the end of the meeting, and Graham France picked up a £1,000 cheque earlier this year, along with Neil Picorni in the previous race. They're two of the £1,000 winners that come to mind. Well, the track has been well watered. It's been used all afternoon for time trials to determine the positions in the final for the foreign drivers, and also a £500 fastest lap prize, which went to a certain S. Smith Esquire of Rochdale, otherwise known as a certain gold top driver, out to hope that he has to put the paint pot away tonight. Of course, he comes along in race number 2 of the world final. This is Heat 1. Brian Beat shows the flag and the race is away. Well, Charles Pickering it is who leads coming down the straight, with 4.24 Mike Hayward in second, then Jeff Keeling 3.70, 57 Rob Lane is in 4th place. You'll see the banking coming into effect as they go down into the pit turn. This is the first and second, little lower, but huge banking around the pit turn, going right up onto it, getting the speed, and Rob Lane spinning out there 57, just getting nudged out of the way by Jane Bean. It's Pickering who's clear. John Howell having problems there in 3.66, reversing into the fence. As you can see with those sleepers on the inside, there's not many places you can park a car up here at Odsal, rather reminiscent of Sheffield. Pickering leads then, 2.14, Pickering from Liversedge in Yorkshire. Known in the past as one of the rollover kings, but he's been getting some useful points recently and may well be going up a grade on the next gradings. Hayward still second in 4.24. 3rd place, Jane Bean. Odsal beginning to get renowned, as to use their speedway term, a bit of a gator's paradise. The passing here is tricky for some of these drivers. I think someone said when you go around that banking, if you knock them out of the way, all they do is roll back on top of you. So there is the problem. The banking does help the driver that's been nudged out of the way. Pickering is away in 2.14. So Pickering dominating things. The car askew going into the straight, let alone the turns. Broadsiding it round. A good lead now over the 2nd place driver, Jane Bean. 3rd place, 4.24, Mike Hayward. So James certainly got the bit between his teeth. Now the stars coming through. Rod Faulding there, 36, going on the inside of Willie Harrison. The sparks fly there as the blue tops sort themselves out. 2 get locked together, or indeed 1 blue top and a yellow. It's Dave Atkinson and Ian Smith getting caught there. Well, that lets the red tops through a bit further. Rob Cowley there coming under pressure from Willie Harrison. Rod Faulding, Harrison's fellow Rotherham. I don't know what the term is for a native of Rotherham, to be quite honest. Behind them. Not too far behind it, that Rob Pierce, 1.75. Willie Harrison looking for the gap past Rob Cowley. There's 1.56, Graham Blundell, former red top, going past Jane Blundell, or rather Jane Bean, into 2nd place now. Graham Blundell 2nd. Hayward dropping back now as tapping comes through. There are the 3 red tops, Mal Brown behind them. And Jeff Keeling losing his way now, 3.70. As the dirt flies, looking down now. See the cars coming up onto the banking. Willie Harrison goes underneath Rob Cowley, 73. Still Charles Pickering well clear. Good race developing though for 2nd place. Spin out there for Mike Hayward, 4.24. Beautifully gliding out into the fence. And there's the race for 2nd. Graham France is through past Graham Blundell. Blundell almost getting caught there. Looks like Jane Bean still trying to put the bumper in. Fine drive by the lady driver. A lot of people saying there's no place for women in Formula One, but Jane Bean's proving them otherwise. Willie Harrison not far behind now, number 2. Rod Faulding hot in his tail. 2 Rotherham drivers battling it out. Rod's going to give second best to his son tonight because Peter's through to that world final. Jane Bean going wide. Looks like Willie Harrison's got the gap now to drive through under Jane. Yes, edged out of the way. There's the gap between first and second, going round behind the Bradford Northern Rugby post. Charles Pickering 2-1-4 leads. And second place it is Graham France. I think France is going to catch Pickering now as they go into the turn, because Pickering is getting caught there by Hayward, the back marker. Now he's caught France as well, 2-1-6. Well, France, like Pickering from Liversedge, that sounds certainly getting good representation here at Odsal tonight in this Heat 1. Pickering first. Second place, Graham France. I think France somehow is going to catch the 2-1-4 car now as we look down off the banking by the pits as Pickering comes into the turn. And a lovely push there, but this is the problem. You see, Pickering could recover there. France couldn't get him off the line. He's managed to get past him on the home straight, and the speed pulls him through. Third place, Graham Blundell, 1-5-6. Looks like we've got Dave Tapping in fourth, Willie Harrison fifth, Rod Faulding sixth. But Graham France went wide there, and back into the lead. It's Charles Pickering, I think you'll find. Pickering there, Tapping right behind him, 4-1-2. Looks like France is third. Fourth, Blundell. So Pickering being overtaken by the blue top and then re-overtaking, but Tapping's found it now as Pickering hit an awkward patch there. He drops back 4 places, it looks like. France through into second in 2-1-6. Pickering indeed dropping 3 places. Then we have Blundell in third place, 1-5-6. Then Pickering. Then we have Harrison and Faulding. Going into the closing 2 laps now here. A superb race to start this World Championship meeting here at Odsal. Well, it certainly does look like a superb racetrack. My first view of Formula One's here at Odsal, and it does look good. But it's Tapping, who indeed leads now, going into the final lap. 4-1-2 leads. Second place is Graham France. Third place, Graham Blundell. Blue tops first, second and third. Then we have Reds, Willie Harrison and Rod Faulding. Then Charles Pickering, and Rob Pearce just been caught by Rob Cowley on the back straight. Looks like he's out of the positions. It is a win, 4-4-1-2. Dave Tapping in Heat 1 here tonight at Odsal. Second place, 2-1-6, Graham France. Third went to Graham Blundell, 1-5-6. Then came Willie Harrison, number 2. 36, Rod Faulding, and a well-deserved 6th place for Charles Pickering, 2-1-4. So we'll await the official confirmation of the result. Jane Bean having problems there. A fine drive by the lady driver, but getting caught there on the railway sleeper on the inside. Well, at least that's how they look. Someone did suggest that they were old Yorkshire Woolen Mill supports. But a good win there, 4-4-1-2. Dave Tapping, the leader of the March Bodies team. He wins Heat number 1. The Midlander gets the win. He's from Aylstone in Leicester, and he picks up a win in Heat 1, goes through to the meeting final. Well, that is the curtain raiser out of the way, with a superb race between those blue tops. Dave Tapping coming out on top. Next, we have the big one, the 1985 Formula One World Final. Results now of Heat 1 in this World Championship meeting. First place, Dave Tapping, 4-1-2. Second, Graham France, 2-1-6. Third place, Graham Blundell, 1-5-6. Fourth, number 2, Willie Harrison. Then fifth, we had Rod Faulding, 36. In sixth place, 2-1-4, Charles Pickering. Seventh, 3-3-0, Mike Greenwood. Then we had number 34, Mal Brown. In 8th place, just missing out in 9th, Mick Stecco, 4-1-9. And 10th, 3-6-7, Ian Smith. Those are your results in Heat number 1. We now come to the climax of the 1985 Brisker Formula One season, the World Championship final here at Odsal. 29 cars lining up for this. We have an extra foreign entry to the scheduled lineup. We'll come to him later on, but there is the front row. 199, Mike Close has pole position, the winner of the Bellevue semi. On the outside, the winner of the Aycliffe semi, rather, Stuart Smith, the reigning champion, 5 times World Stock Car champion. Mike Close, 1977 champion from Skipton in Yorkshire, and Stuart Smith, as I say, 5 times champion, won it in 69, 72, 80, 83 and 84, seeking to equal Dave Chisholm's record of 3 consecutive wins, and Chisholm, the Southerner, set those up in 73, 74 and 75. Stu Smith on the outside row, he won it off the 5th row last year. A front grid position would seem to be virtually a signed, sealed and delivered situation with Stuart Smith going for a win. Mike Close, though, is one to be reckoned with. Well, it would seem certain for Smith, but for the fact that he's got those 2 behind him. 190, Len Wolfenden, in another Mike Close car, lining up right behind the world champion. And Wolfenden, a very accomplished driver, won the last World Final here at Odsal back in 1981. Mind you, that was on the tarmac track. On the inside of Wolfenden, who's semi-retired these days, as you can see, he's hiring the Mike Close car for the year. On the inside, it's another Smith, number 100, Harry Smith, from Colne in Lancashire. And Harry Smith, known as Hurricane, for a good reason, was out of racing earlier this year due to the discovery of diabetes in him, but able to get back into racing, but doesn't race quite as often as you would hope these days. Onto the third row, 260, Dave Beresford on the outside. And Dave, a very accomplished driver from Hyde in Cheshire. On his inside, the man they reckon to be the king of the tarmac, John Toulson, number 286, one of the northeastern drivers, and certainly excellent round Hartlepool and Aycliffe. Onto the next row, we have the first of the foreign drivers. On the inside, Friedhelm Velters. You may remember him in last year's long track final at Barlow, getting overturned by Stu Smith. Well, this time Velters behind him. The foreign drivers are qualified according to time trials this afternoon. They go on rows 4, 8, 12 and 14 here tonight. On the outside of Velters, it's number 17, Leon Cox, another driver you may remember from our Barlow coverage. Velters, the fastest of the Dutch, or of the foreign qualifiers, with 18.40 seconds for a flying lap. Cox recording 18.67. So those are the first foreigners. And only one man has ever won off the fifth row of the grid. That was Stuart Smith at Bellevue last year, which makes the task for those men on the fifth row difficult. But look at the quality of driver. Bert Finnegan on the inside, number 55, 1983 points champion. On his outside, the 1984 points champion, currently sporting that silver roof, number 212, Frankie Wainman. Frankie, the master car builder. And there's many a driver out there whose car has got more than a touch of Frankie Wainman work on it. Wainman from Silsden in West Yorkshire. If anyone is going to win again off the fifth row, those two men are qualified for it, but imagine all the metal they've got to get out of the way. So, in reality, you talk about the first 5 rows containing the world stock car champion at the start. It would be an upset if anyone were to come off any of the rows behind. On the 6th row, just sitting behind, we have 317 Nigel Hardy, local driver from Huddersfield, back up to red after a spell at blue earlier this year. On the outside of him, a former world champion, Dave Mellor, the 1978 world champion from Ashbourne in Derbyshire. Not the most beautiful of cars, but it's effective. Behind them, going down now onto the 7th row of the grid, we have 250, the Formula 1 Skull Bandit of Gerald Taylor. Alongside him, 422, Nigel Wharton from Lichfield in Staffordshire. The instruction's gone out, gentlemen, start your engines, from Bev Greenhalgh. Looking, I think, at the last row we're going to take a look at prior to the actual race. We can move on to the 8th row. Behind the Skull Bandit car, we have another 2 foreigners. Indeed, as the cars move off, they'll come into view. And there on the 8th row, we have Rian Richens on the outside, the world long track champion. And on the inside of him, number 10, Pierre Kaiser. So it's Dutchmen filling the top 4 qualifying positions of the foreigners. The only other foreign drivers, apart from Dutch drivers, there are 3 New Zealanders. Dave Evans, who'll be racing in a Chris Elwell car as NZ1, and also Ian Easton, who's racing in the John Lund car. He goes in the 14th row, and taking up a position on the 15th row, being given the chance of a race despite non-qualification. It's a long way to travel without racing. Number 19, Warren Mcintyre. Richards there with the flashing lights, a long way down compared to what he would have hoped. Had that marvellous clash with Smith in last year's long track final. The Dutch cars reckon to be a little too lightweight for British conditions. The British cars reckon to be too heavy for the Dutch circuits, like the 1,000-metre track at Barlow. But there they are, fascinating race in prospect. Close on the inside, Smith, the world champion, on the outside. Harry Smith and Len Wolfenden on the second row. When you think about it, you've got 2 marquee sponsored cars there, both owned by Mike Close. There has been speculation about possible team driving, and Stuart Smith caught with the pair of them, one on the inside and one behind him. Must be feeling a little worried. A lovely view of the cars coming through. 1 or 2 blue tops you can see in there as well. Number 29, Ian Higgins, showing up there. Ian with a new car after his previous one was wrecked. Either that or he's rebuilt the old one, but it's certainly a new paint job. We also have there John Dowson, 294, from Thornley in Durham. Behind him, Peter Faulding, 33, with the CF Booth sign on the spoiler. Bobby Burns, 471, just going past the camera. You can see his roof. Another Dutchman there, Kees Zoeters, number 12. Mo Smith behind him, 51. and alongside Mo Smith, Robbie Craig, 62. There you see the other Kiwi at the very back, Warren Mcintyre. So there is the scene here at Odsal as the cars go round on a very slow rolling lap. Mike Close has control of that speed. Now, Stuart Smith with Len Wolfenden hot in his bumper will have to worry a little about that first turn, because there is every intention, I would feel, for that bumper to go in very hard going into that first turn. A slow rolling lap in process. Well, they've been building up to this all year. Smith going for his 6th World Championship. The odds-on favourite here tonight at Odsal, but you can't rule out that man on the inside, Mike Close. Tension builds here now in this rebuilt stadium as it's underway, and they're off. Green flag shows and the World Finals underway, and it's Smith who's made the break. Mike Close second, 199. Well, the welly on the bumper didn't materialise. Third place is Harry Smith. Fourth is Len Wolfenden. So the Wolf couldn't get the bumper in time. Smith is away. Mike Close second. Third there, Harry Smith. And the cluster of cars, Freedom Velt is up there in number 8. The all-white car. There goes Harry Smith, and also Bert Finnegan in there. Dave Burris forgetting. Oh, Smith's got problems. There's a pile-up there, massive pile-up. On the outside, on the exit from that turn, Smith got through. It looks like Richards is involved there. Also New Zealand driver number 1, Dave Evans, in the Elwell car. All kinds of trouble there, and a couple of foreign drivers having their problems early on. Well, the dust unfortunately flying here at Odsal, it's obscuring things slightly. No obscuring that man out in front though, Stuart Smith, looking now to close in on Dave Evans, who's freed himself from the trouble. So Stuart Smith first, and it's terrible really that the World Final should be ruined by dust, but it looks like it's going to happen. 25 laps of this Odsal circuit. We'll try and pick them out if we can. Bumpering Dave Evans out of the way, but we do apologise for the dust. Unfortunately, it's going to obscure things, but let's hope we can pick it out. Going past the inside of Warren Mcintyre now. Peter Faulding's just in front of the world champion, and already it's looking like another Smith win. A long way to go, though. Who knows what the back marker might do. Freedom Velt is going through there. But Velt is almost a lap down on the leader. He's just gone past Ian Easton in the John Lund car. Smith now trying to get rid of Faulding. Car parked up on the inside there on the back straight. Stuart Smith already has put a great amount of distance between him and the second place car, but tragically it's difficult enough to see on the picture. You can imagine what it's like for the crowd. They can see the outline of cars going round in dust. Surely this one should have been properly watered. Well, indeed, it adds to the atmosphere, but the detail is blanked out. Look at that. Somewhere in there is Smith. There he is. Well, Smith going wide, there is another pile-up occurs. Of course, you've got to think about the drivers. How can they see where they're going? Well, after the glory of Bellevue last year, it looks like Odsal is proving to be a bit of a flop in this race, because you just can't see what's going on. Smith leads. It's a long way down to second, although you try picking him out right now, you need a pair of binoculars with some very fancy gadgetry on. Let's see if we can pull it out. Freedom Velt is a lap down there. Looks like John Dowson with him. Looking for second. It's not one of those. They're all back markers. Looks like Wolfenden is second. Third, Mike Close. No, Bert Finnegan indeed. Looks like Wolfenden's got the second. Fourth place, well, couldn't quite read it there as he went down the straight. Well, Stuart Smith already opening up something like a half a lap lead over the rest of the cars. There he goes down into the turn. And there's the chasing pack coming off the other bend. Stuart Smith holding a commanding lead now. It's like the signal goes out from Brian Beaton. Smith can see it. Somewhere in there is the second place car. And it's Wolfenden with a green bodywork. Third is Finnegan. I think that's Wolfenden anyway. Gerald Taylor parked up on the inside. Looks like he's clouds at the Ian Higgins car. Well, there goes Smith. Looking now at Brian Tuplin as the next victim. Well, surely only mechanical failure or an absolutely crazy lack of concentration from Smith is going to cost him this title. They said on the front row no one's going to stop him. Looks like no one is. Looks to see if we can see second now. There he is there with the green bodywork. It's Wolfenden with Finnegan hot in his tail in third place. That has to be confirmed. There were pile-ups early on. Bobby Burns, they're getting into trouble along with a load of others. Harry Smith's out of the race. Indeed, we're down to less than half the original field now, I'm sure, which most of them have been lapped by the leader. That's second and third anyway, Wolfenden and Finnegan. Well, it looks like it's going to be a clear win for Stuart Smith. The main race for second and third now. Mo Smith just in front of them, 51. I don't know whether he got the drop on those two. I suspect him to be a lap down, but with the pile-up earlier on, it's difficult to tell. Well, the dust clears somewhat. Freedom Felter is edging past the Brian Tuplin car. Well, great disappointment for many drivers here tonight. Great disappointment for many. They just couldn't see where they were going. They pulled up in the early stages. There is the leader, Stuart Smith. Nigel Hardy in his wake. Another victim. It's confirmed Glenn Wolfenden is second in 190. Third place, Bert Finnegan in 55. Well, just getting past there, Pierre Kaiser and Hardy ramming the back of the car. There goes Smith. Let's see if we can see the gap down to second. That is not him, that's Hardy going through. And Stuart Smith from Rochdale leads him off, going into that bend. And you just can't see the second place man, even with the dust, which is now beginning to settle because there aren't so many cars racing. Second place, 190 Wolfenden. There he is, in the marquee car. Green and white stripes down the side with the red top. 190 Wolfenden, semi-retired driver in second place. Well, he's now coming up to Tuplin. Looks like he's dropped Bert Finnegan now, but Wolfenden had his golden opportunity in the early stages. Smoke pouring out the back of the Wolfenden car as he goes down into that bend. He's got a long, long way to go, though, to catch the leader, Stuart Smith. Let's see if we can try and find the distance. I think Smith is certainly the length of a straight lead. There he is. So Smith has gone through. Two back markers there, and there is Wolfenden. That's something like 100 yards between the two of them. Well, not the greatest of spectacles, this Formula One World Final, but can Wolfenden now rescue it and put the challenge in on Stuart Smith? It's like fun night in the Sahara. Well, I think somebody will be bringing his bucket and spade along later and building a sandcastle along the way, because this is not ideal. Anyway, let's try and pick up what there is. Stuart Smith there, number one. Three tail enders behind him. Then Glenn Wolfenden, number 190. Behind Wolfenden we have Nigel Hardy, who's a lap down. And Wolfenden battling with the wheel, going down the straight. Down into the turn. Coming up now, one of the Dutch drivers, Johan Deront. He was on the second last row of the grid, number 5, and staying well out of Wolfenden's way. Stuart Smith from Rochdale getting the signal from the crowd, and there it is, the checkered flag brings to an end the World Final, which I must admit was an utter letdown compared to last year's race. Stuart Smith, though, dominated from start to finish. A beautiful drive, who can deny him? History made yet again. Stuart Smith, the 6th World Championship for that man. No one's ever done that. And he equals Dave Chisholm's record of 3 consecutive wins. Chisholm did it in 73, 74 and 75. Smith does it 10 years later in 83, 84 and 85. No doubt whatsoever. They call him the maestro, they call him the one and only. That is the perfect description. Stuart Smith, world champion once again. Stuart Smith first, second place Glenn Wolfenden 190. I think the message has got through to the most of the crowd by now, but my goodness, who could allow such dusty conditions to prevail in a world final? Well, obvious jubilation as the engine cover is removed and the water goes in. Stuart, ecstatic, but there, it's a rollover somewhere along the way. Frankie Wainman, 212. We didn't see that one. I don't think many people did here. The dust finally settling here at Odsal. Well, Stuart being interviewed there on the centre green, and the record continues. It started in 1969 at Bellevue. Stuart Smith first. Second at Haringey in 1970. First at Bellevue in 72, second at Haringey in 73, second at Coventry in 74, second in 75 at Bellevue. Then the next time in the top three was 1980 at Coventry when he was first. Then he was first in Coventry again in 1983, first at Bellevue in 84, and first now at Bradford in 85. A quiet spell in the late 70s, but Stuart Smith right back, showing that a good stock car driver certainly matures with age. Not far away from his 40th birthday, he'll kill me for saying that, but if ever there was a man that dominated this sport, that man from Rochdale is he. Official result now of the Formula One World Final. First, Stu Smith, number one. Second place, Len Wolfenden, 190. Third, 55, Bert Finnegan. Fourth was Ray Tilsley, 85. Fifth, Dave Mellor, 304. Sixth, it was Peter Falding, 33. Seventh, it was 317, Nigel Hardy. Eighth place, the Dutchman Friedhelm Velters, number 8. Ninth was 155, Brian Tuplin. And 10th, it was 51, Mo Smith. Those are the top 10 in this year's World Final. Many congratulations, Stuart, on win number 6. Straight from the start, wasn't it?
Yeah, I managed to get away and get clear of the rest of the pack. I didn't expect to get away so easily, but I managed to do it.
You must have been a bit worried with Wolfenden right behind you on the rolling lap.
Well, it's always worrying with a bloke like him behind you. Him and Harry Smith and one or two of the others, you know, they won't bother. They just stick the bumper in if they get close enough. The idea was to get away as quick as possible. I was just lucky that the track wasn't too wet on the outside. If it had been wet, it'd have been a different story.
It was dusty though, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit too dusty, I think. It has been a rather a dry week though up at Bradford all week, and the Shield track's very funny. The hot weather can, you know, no matter how much water you put on it before a meeting, the track itself can soak it through, soak it in, and it leaves it dusty. So you're fighting a losing battle really, but it could have done with a little bit more water. What do you think of Odsal after all the rebuilding? Well, it's very nice. It's obviously going to be something else when it's finished. I just hope that stock cars will be in here for another few years' time. I think they will. Well, Stuart, that's 6 wins now. You've done virtually everything in this sport. Where do you go from here? Well, I don't know. You just keep on going. I was going to pack up last year because a lot of trouble with the back. I've had back problems for years, but this year it's been okay. There's not been much problem, just a few aches and pains, but that's mainly old age. I just keep on going until everybody starts passing me, I think. Just set a record nobody else can catch. Well, it'd be very nice too. I think there's 1 or 2 already that they'll have a job to match up to, but... of course, there's still 1 to go for, isn't there? 4 consecutive wins. I suppose so, yeah, because Dave Chisholm's equal that 3 on the trot, so I'll probably have a go next year. Many congratulations. Thanks very much, Stuart. Thank you. Well, it's back to the regular format now in this Mirror World Championship meeting. Heat number 3 lining up now. 2 white tops at the front as usual. 454 Phil Haig from Stockport. One of the March Bodies cars on the outside. Wayne Handley 378. And the flag's being shown to the drivers as they come round on this rolling lap. We've got 4 white tops out in this one. We've got 8 yellows in view there. And things being brought down now to walking pace. So the dust is a little lower on this one. Phil Wheel's having problems straight away there. The green flag is down and they're away. As you can see, the track's been well watered. Looks like Phil Haig indeed who leads in 454, having got the break. Let's look now for the blues and reds coming through. Cars having problems as the yellow top pulled up on the outside in a touch of mud there. Oh, and Des Chandler getting caught on the inside. Make note in their 306, complete with spoiler I see tonight. Haig's away 454, a long way back to second there, and he's having problems getting around the turn there. And there's absolute mayhem there on the pit turn in the bloom. Howard Davis 327 going around the outside as the Reds start their charge. Pete Bashford going past 107. And the mud's certainly flying now. Well, that wood not stopping the cars getting onto the rugby pitch there. Phil Hemingway there getting involved, 474, along with Buster Watson, number 59. Don't know if that sign in front says keep off the grass, but those two disobeying it. Arthur Gibson 357 going past the white top. That's 103 Roger Mitchell from Colne. But there is the leader, Phil Haig. Des Chandler spun out in that turn. Yellow's going either side of him. Haig going past now. Oh, just getting caught there by the blue top. Looks like they're certainly carving out a dry line on the inside. It's getting a bit tricky though when you go out onto the outside line. Pete Bashford coming through strongly in 107.
not the easiest of jobs trying to pick them out there on that pit turn. McNoden coming through as well in 3:06, the red top star driver. Mick from Rugby. And indeed, there we have the leader once more, Phil Haigh, going down home straight now. Pete Bashford in hot pursuit in 1:07. Looks like Bashford is second at the present time. Neil Picorni up there as well, number 74. Former winner of the £1,000 prize here at Odsal. Phil Haigh, not a driver we see too often in front of our cameras. On problems at the back there, Blue Top getting rammed into the fence, just got caught when two tried to go into the space of one there. Bashford moving up on that yellow top. Better watch out for those two cars parked up on the inside. And Bashford confirms second, but look at that crash there. The two yellows getting locked, going out wide. The car just behind them, looks like Fairhurst just going through 218, I think it is. 4.54. Haigh leads from Bashford, and Bashford closing in all the time. Bashford from one of Briscoe's outposts at Brentwood in Essex. Haigh from more familiar territory, Stockport. The Blue Tops closing in all the time. And Bashford's got the line going into the turn there. On this McNoden up there in third, he was the man that just got out of the way of those two yellow tops as they locked up on the pit turn. And indeed, Bashford has now made the breakthrough in the first place. 16-lap race, back to normal here in heat number 3. First stage qualifying for the meeting final. He's got Phil Wheelson now in front of him. Wheelson staying at yellow after his rise from white recently. Phil Haigh still a white top though in second place, 4.54. Well, you wonder where the challenge is going to come for Bashford here. Noden is the man, 3:06. He's still got to get past that white top and the back marker. And Haigh sticking the back out there. Noden going wide though. Phil Wheelson forming the block between them and the leader, 1:07. Pete Bashford. Noden's through in the second now as Haigh obligingly moved a little off the line there, up on the banking. So it's Bashford from Noden. That's a familiar sight. We've often seen these two slugging it out in our coverage, certainly in the Midlands. And so there he is, the first man in this race. Noden getting caught up with that back mark of Phil Wheelson, another member of that March Bodies team. Oh, getting caught now onto the inside. Noden in all kinds of problems. Battling with the wheel. Haigh, can he get the second now? On the run down the straight. Noden's got the speed though, going into the turn. Challenge now coming up for Haigh. That looks like 218 Derek Fairhurst. As Haigh tries to nudge Noden out the way. The white top certainly not giving up here. Going into the closing stages. The 2-lap marker is out now for Pete Bashford. Seemingly set for victory. Second, third and fourth is brewing up fairly interesting though, as Bashford comes into the light off the turn. Long way down to second. That's the back marker Wheelson. There's second, McNoden, 3:06. Phil Haigh just behind him, 4.54. 1 lap to go now for Pete Bashford. Indeed, less than that. Well, Haigh getting shoved wide there. Looks like Joe Jopling's up there as well, 4.52. But it's going to be Bashford who picks up the win in heat 3. Bashford wins in 1:07. Indeed, there's 1 lap to go. We misread the lap markers. 1 lap marker now. Bashford still has a bit to go, and the checkered flag this time is out as Bashford comes around past those potholes on the turn and gets the win this time. Pete Bashford, 1:07. Well, Brian B catching me out there. He's clouted the fence actually after he crossed the line, but it looks like he's okay. McNoden has taken second in 3:06. Yes, a fair way between first and second there. Well, a good win for Bashford. Got clear of the field from the early stages. Phil Haigh battling hard though, 4.54 after getting the break from the pole. But Noden battling hard in second, but he needed a few more laps there to get in with a chance of catching Pete Bashford. Good race there in heat 3, not up to the standard of heat 1, but at least we didn't have the same amount of dust there in the third race. Results now of heat 3 in this Mirror-sponsored World Final meeting. First place, 1:07, went to Pete Bashford. Second place, McNoden. Third place was indeed 218 Derek Fairhurst. Fourth place, Phil Haigh, 4.54. Fifth was Joe Jopling, 4.52. Sixth place was Mike Shirley, 3.95. Seventh was 23 John Lander. And eighth was George Braithwaite, number 92. Those 8 drivers going through to the final. We don't have a 9th and 10th from race control. Well, they're off and rolling now in the consolation race here at Odsal. Last chance to make the final here. Ian Higgins, 29 there, didn't last very long in the world final. Alongside him, looks like John Wright, 128. Then we have that number 5 Dutch driver. And that Dutchman, Johan Deront. Looking now at some of the reds. Looks like Bobby Burns there, 471, indeed it is. 199, Mike Close, couldn't make advantage from that pole position. Rian Richards, 15. 175. Freedom Veltus out there as well, 19 Warren McIntyre. We've got the Skull Bandit, 250 Gerald Taylor. We've got the lot here in the consolation. Certainly a very strong field of cars, all bidding for a place in the meeting final. That yellow top just going into the hole, and the second one as the pace builds up and the flag is down. Consolation race underway here at Odsal. There's one of the March Bodies team off there. It's either 370 or 378. It's either Handley or Keeling. And the action starts there as they stream off past the green flag. Gerald Taylor left in the back of the reds. Car pulled up there on the infield. Looks like number 10 from Holland, Pierre Kaiser. White top clear, trying to pick up the number as he goes round. Not the easiest of jobs when they've got 378 and 370 and identically coloured cars. There's Ian Higgins putting the bumper in, going past that yellow top driver. Looks like it was Jane Beanie pushed out of the way. I think it is, yes, 377. John Wright just behind. Looking now for the reds coming through. Bobby Burns, Mike Close, Robbie Craig, Nigel Wharton. Wainman without a spoiler now, trying to get through them. Leon Cox there with Gerald Taylor. Cox, the number 17 Dutch driver. Beresford in the thick of it, 260. There's Wainman behind him, minus the wing. 212 silver top. Warren McIntyre, 19 behind him, the New Zealand driver. And a car finding his way onto the centre green. Looked like Leon Cox. Well, Ian Higgins certainly coming through strongly here in this consolation race. Looks like he's on his way to the final. Trying to get Mick Stecco out of the way there. Well, Higgins has got the inside line. Stecco crawling out wide, trying to avoid those potholes there on the pit turn. Dutch driver Johan Redmond parks up on the outside. 182 just in front of Higgins, Mike Cheatham. Cheatham with serious car troubles earlier when he had a bad crash earlier in the season. Good to see him back. Yes, I think it's Mike Cheatham. Higgins, though, coming through very strongly now. And Phil Hemingway there, 474, just in front of Higgins. So we've got the yellow top going past. John Wright, another yellow. Yellow side by side, and that's Gary Walker going through, 181. Good drive by that man. Rob Pearce trying to get through, 175, not too far behind. The foreign drivers seem to be falling by the wayside here again in the consolation race. I thought I saw Freedom Veltus out there earlier, but of course he isn't. He got through to the meeting final, being placed in the world final racing circuit itself, rather. You can see how the turf's been laid on the centre green, taken up from the corners of the rugby pitch to make room for the circuit. Wainman in front of that lot, a couple of red tops getting caught up there. Nigel Wharton and well, there's an even bigger pile up there. Yellow's getting scattered. Oh, and a side-on crash there as Arthur Gibson got stuck in there. Wharton in the middle of them there with Beresford driving him out wide. Looks like Close is parked up. Or indeed, who's that? Is that Mike Close? Can't see from that angle. There's Gibson trying to get out of it. It is now confirmed that Ian Higgins is first in number 29. Second place, John Wright, 128. So there's the leader as the dust rises again here at Odsal. Wainman coming through in 212, not too far behind. 128, John Wright second. Behind that man there, number 29, Ian Higgins, going past Dave Atkinson, 334. Doing the broadside shunt there. Higgins dropping the name Captain Chaos into small lettering on the car now. Maybe suggesting that for a world final night, a more sober approach is necessary. Going past 422, Nigel Wharton. And there's Bobby Burns, the man that Wharton clashed with at Coventry not so long ago. Not too far in front of Higgins. Higgins leads in number 29. There's Wharton now a lap down. John Wright in second place there in the predominantly white car with a large wing. I'm trying to describe them like that. You try and pick the numbers out in this dust. On Wright, edging out Wharton as the yellow top following through. Dave Atkinson. There's Wainman up there. And Wright's onto the infield. He's hit the Leon Cox car, I think it is. Burns has gone out wide and hit the other Dutch driver's car. So problems there on that turn for those drivers. Wainman, though, getting ever closer to the leader. No, indeed, that looks like himself, Frankie Wainman, having spun out. Well, they're on the final lap now, no doubt about that. Ian Higgins, 29, coming in now for the win in the consolation race. Always a proud thing to win on World Final night. Number 29, Ian Higgins, wins the consolation. Confirmation that it was Frankie Wainman who did spin out there. In that light, the silver roof looked almost white. But there is confirmation, not the best of nights for Wainman. Rolled over in the World Final and spins out in the consolation. So there is your winner. You can see it's still got the Captain Chaos, a little bit smaller. That should please Stuart Bell. For those in the know, the Northeastern writer in Stock Car Mag did complain rather about the use of Captain Chaos on the side of the car. Well, no doubt that has satisfied him now with the Higgins name larger than the nickname now. Well, Ian Higgins certainly sporting a natty set of overalls here tonight, celebrating his new sponsorship. He wins the consolation race, number 29, Ian Higgins. Second place, 175, Rob Pearce. Third place, 260, Dave Beresford. Fourth, 367, Ian Smith. Fifth was 250, Gerald Taylor. Sixth place, one of the New Zealanders getting through to the final. And it was number 19, Warren McIntyre, the slowest of the three on practice. Seventh place, 334, Dave Atkinson. Eighth was 419, Mick Stecco. And ninth, non-qualifier, 422, Nigel Wharton. And 10th was 370, Jeff Keeling. So those are the 8 qualifiers for the final, plus the 2 that just missed out in the consolation race. Not very easy to obey that sign here tonight at Odsal. But, nonetheless, the pitch must be preserved. Well, the cars are on the rolling lap for the grand final in this World Championship night, sponsored by the Mirror newspaper. Interesting to see that we've got 1 or 2 foreigners out there who didn't appear to qualify through the previous races. From what I can work out, we only had Freedom Velters in the World Final itself and Warren McIntyre in the consolation race qualify in the top 8 position, but it looks like 1 or 2 others are being allowed out. Looking down to the superstars. And we have Peter Faulding, Bert Finnegan, Nigel... No, it's not. It's Warren McIntyre and Dave Evans. Dave Evans getting through to the final somehow. Well, they picked up the speed, but the cars are still on that rolling lap. But Brian Beach shows the green flag, and the race is underway. The grand final in this Mirror. Sponsored night of stock car racing here at Odsal. Well, away they go. Not too many lower order cars. Huge field of cars, though, for this one. Getting sprayed all over the place there. It looks like Freedom Velters has been left at the back. It's still Hager's away, going through the patch there on the pit turn in 454, coming into the light down the straight as the dust rises again. Pete Passion in the middle of that lot. Yellow top drifting wide there. Dave Atkinson trying to pick up some of these, doing the action there on the turn. Well, there's Warren McIntyre, 19. And there's Ian Higgins and Graham Blundell piling up on the turn. There's someone behind them as well. Higgins, the winner of the consolation, not having too much luck there. But it's an atmospheric shot for sure here at Odsal as the dust rises up into the floodlights. 216, Graham Francis second here in this grand final. It's still Phil Haig first, 454. And as if they could find more shale to bring off this track, they found more. Dave Tatting parked up on the inside, showing that those timbers are not always going to stop a car going. Phil Haig pushed out the way there by Graham France, just avoids the car as it comes back down the slope. Looks like Joe Jopling in second in 452. Certainly an all-star race in this final. Blue top in third, could be John Dowson, I think it could be, 294. Graham France, though, certainly an expert around this Odsal track, but Finnegan having problems, 55. As Gerald Taylor and Warren McIntyre go past him. Brian Tuplin and Mike Shirley just behind as Finnegan rejoins the race. Well, there is the second place car, then Graham France, 216. adding to the situation here tonight. Also, the rain's falling. Dave Mellor spinning out and trying to get out of the way, taking the timber with him. Not quite getting onto the grass. Looks like we have a race order change with 330 driving through into second place. That's Mike Greenwood, if my memory serves me right. 330. Indeed it is Greenwood in 330. So the rain's certainly falling now here at Odsal, getting heavier by the time. It looks like Graham France indeed in first now in 2:16. Yes, of course he pushed Haig out the way earlier, getting confused by the weather here, making things difficult to see. France leads 2:16. Second place, it is 330, Mike Greenwood. Third is Mike Shirley, 395. In this mirror grand final here at Bradford, see the rain gathering on the lens there, with that camera on the turn. Nigel Hardy, 317 coming through, but there is the second place man, Mick Greenwood, 330. Rod falling there, 36 getting pushed out into the Beresford car. I think that was France that did it indeed, number 216, who is now in grave danger of being caught by that 330 car of Mike Greenwood. Pete Bashford, and I think that's Case Zouters almost blocking the turn there. Single file traffic going through though, but Bashford's pulling out the way. Graham France there, 216. Brian Tuplin is the man he's trying to remove off the line now to try and get away from that Greenwood car, 330. Two red-bodied cars with the Blue Roofs, first and second. Finnegan spinning out yet again. It's tonight at Odsal. Halfway stage now, this 20-lap final here now at Bradford. France from Greenwood. And the car's going down into an increasingly difficult bend as the shale is lost and the rain comes down, and what shale is left is turned into a liquid morass on the inside. It's getting very, very difficult out there. So France and Greenwood battle it out, almost broadsiding it down the straight there. The back certainly trying to overtake the front for a spell. Well, just in front of the leading pack there, Gerald Taylor, Warren McIntyre, Ian Smith now getting edged out of the way by 216 Graham France. Greenwood hot in his tail. Well, they've dropped Tuplin now, but they've still got the traffic to go through. This could give the chance to the other drivers to close in. Got three virtually identical paintwork cars there. And Ian Smith getting caught by Graham France. Could that be the chance for Greenwood? In third place, looking for the way through there. I'm just trying to read his number. Graham France snaking all over the place. Greenwood's through in 330, but France recovers. Beautiful drive by the Yorkshire driver. Spin out there for Brian Tuplin. As you can see, the heavens have opened here at Bradford. Well, you can delete the reference to the Sahara now. Sahara doesn't get rain like this. But it's certainly going to lay the dust. Now we're going to get the mud instead. Graham France just about holding on to things. He's still got McIntyre and Smith in front of him. And they're proving to be a formidable obstacle to try and get through. Oh, could easily lose hold on things as McIntyre and Smith battle it out just in front of the race leader, as we have it at the moment. Graham France now trying to remove McIntyre out of the way, and indeed it looks like he's done it. McIntyre looks like racing in a Blundell car. And now France locking wheels there almost. Beresford's car parked up on the outside. One to watch for to keep out the way of. France, though, in the closing stages of this race, still holding on to first place. And now coming through into second is 92 George Braithwaite. Mick Noden is up there, but I think he could be down a lap. Gerald Taylor getting brushed aside by France. Well, there's no doubt about it, Noden is in there. Let's see, we can see the starter signal. Brian Beat holding out the closing lap signs. I think Noden is up there indeed. Noden side by side with Graham France. And the rugby man trying to edge through on the inside. France has finally been shaken off. But Noden drifts into the back markers and France is through again. Ian Smith. No, Noden is past Smith indeed, cutting through on the inside of him, going into the closing stages of this grand final. Some fascinating racing. What a pity that the poorest race of the night was indeed the world final. Plenty of action in it, but That's if you can see it. Could have done with this rain about an hour earlier. It's Noden who leads then in the grand final, and the checkered flag is out. Noden wins in 3:06. Second place, it looks like, went to Graham France, 2:16 of marvellous race. It could even be Ian Smith. We were trying to decipher the readings. Well, we're trying to get confirmation of this result. It looks like it might even have been given to Ian Smith 3:67, or even Graham France. We'll await confirmation from race control. That's one of those races where it was just getting too close to call. Well, indeed, Brian Beat looked up heavenwards for inspiration, I think, after that race, looking at the race control, in fact. But as you can see, Mick Noden it was who won the grand final. But it looked like, for a moment, Brian Beat was giving the flag to either Smith or France at the end. But now he gives the flag to the 3:06 driver, Mick Noden from Rugby, the winner of the Mirror Grand Final here tonight at Bradford. Official results of tonight's grand final here at Bradford. This final sponsored by the Mirror. First place 3:06 Mick Noden, second 2:16 Graham France, third place 92 George Braithwaite, fourth place 3:17 Nigel Hardy, fifth 55 Bert Finnegan, sixth 23 John Lander, seventh 33 Peter Faulding, eighth place 3:30 Mick Greenwood, ninth 1:75 Rob Pearce, and 10th 4:54 Phil Haig. We come now to the race that would, on most programmes, be the final race of the night, certainly at Formula One level. The Grand National, the all-comers race, open to all competitors here tonight, excluding, of course, the man who retained the World Championship, does not race beyond the actual World Final itself, while the car is examined, pretty well stripped down. So, we have virtually all of the top stars that have featured so far, I think, coming out in this one, although there's not quite so many superstars at the back as you might expect. Well, in fact, only have the two. We have Frankie Wainman 212, and we have Dave Evans, New Zealand #1. We have no Dutchman, I don't think, coming out in this one. Dave Evans certainly giving it a go. He looked good at Coventry recently. Green flag drops, and the white top leads them off. Mick Noden hasn't come out after winning the final. Well, Buster Watson getting involved there with 536 Bob Baker. Blue top's coming through. I think somehow we're going to get a blue top winner in this one. And Phil Hemingway coming through already, 474 pile up there. And there is one of the superstars caught up there. I think that could be Rutchins looking head on at it. Looks like John Wright's gone onto the infield, 128. Cars battling, they're trying to get through the gap made for one. And indeed, one of the Timbers has been pushed across the track, it looks like, by Neil Picorni. Dave Mellor's got caught. The waving yellows are out. Well, Phil Hemingway comes through, confirmed in first place. Second place, 107 Pete Bashford. 370 Wayne Handley in third place, rather Jeff Keeling 370. But the cars are brought down to walking pace. 412 Dave Tapping is fourth, trying to pick out those cars that had crashed. Oh, I've just seen Stuart Smith's car driving through the pits. I wonder if he's coming out for the £1,000 race, because we do have another race coming up after this one, the Who Dares Wins race, as it's known here at Bradford, the £1,000 race. This, though, the Grand National. Indeed, it looks, the tractor's coming down. Looks like we might be getting some track work. Frankie Wainman's got out of that pile-up. John Wright's car is stranded. It's trapped on top of a timber, in fact. Can't get off there. Neil Picorni there. That's what they're trying to do, get rid of that log. Well, it used to be a log one day. Get it off the racing line. Just pushing it out of the way. Hemingway leads them off, 474. Phil, unfortunately, they fill in the way up at the northeastern tracks. Certainly an all-action merchant. Oh, and we do have one or two of the foreigners indeed in this one. Pierre Kaiser, #10, being pushed out of the way by 471 Bobby Burns. Just in front, Frankie Wainman still trying for some points here tonight. Not met with too much success. I do think one or two drivers are holding back their cars for that £1,000 race. When you think about it, the winner of that race might even win more than the actual world champion. Len Wolfenden coming through, 190. The Wolf couldn't do it in the world final, but he edges Bashford out the way. Through into second place now here at Odsal. There's the race leader, Phil Hemingway, just in front of him, 474. I think a lot of people in the stadium disappointed that Wolfenden and Smith couldn't mix it closer in the world final. Wolfenden second placed, behind his great Lancastrian rival. Wolfenden going at that bend fairly square. Hemingway with the back wheels out. Wolfenden pulling the bumper in. Yes, the trademark comes into play. He's got to watch Hemingway in case he just swings across the front of him. Then Wolfenden from Barrowford. Nick Cole in Lancashire. They certainly breed spectacular stock car drivers up there. There's Harry Smith following in Len's style very much in recent years. Len not seen too often these days. Semi-retirement, battling out beautifully here with Phil Hemingway, and Hemingway certainly is in the way there for Wolfenden, holding on beautifully in front of the superstar graded driver. This, I think, is that Len might be down at star at the current time, indeed. Wolfenden all the time trying to find a way to put that bumper in on Hemingway again, but he can't get that 474 car off the racing line. Lunges in again there and misses completely as Hemingway scoots out of the way. Well, now can Wolfenden prey on his victim on this turn. No, Hemingway is putting up a superb fight. Mind you, you had Wolfenden on your tail, you'd go fast. So the Wolf hunts his prey literally there. First and second. I don't think Wolfenden's going to do it at the present time, though. It might take a little while. And as I say, that Wolfenden draws level almost, and indeed Wolfenden's through. Hemingway makes an attempt to try and knock Wolfenden out of the way with the front wheels, but the Wolf is away. 190 leads. So Wolfenden clear now in this Grand National. I wonder where the challenge is going to come from, if at all. Coming up now on one of the March Bodies cars, one of the White Tops, I think, 370 Jeff Keeling. We're looking down the field. Just trying to pick up that car as he comes through. That is, yes, Dave Evans. Just behind Frankie Wainman there. It was a New Zealander who last year put Wainman out the world final. That was Brian Anderson, not over this year. There's Gerald Taylor, Skull Bandits, Formula 1250. Strange this year with the way that Broach, Whitfield and Taylor were mopping up the Formula 2s in the Skull Bandits this year, that we didn't see a Skull Bandit in the Formula 2 final, but we did see Gerald Taylor in the Formula 1s. There is, of course, a word that there may be more than one Skull Bandit in Formula 1 next year, with stories about Russell Taylor and Paul Broach about to change over to the bigger cars. Well, there is Wolfenden, way clear now, almost doing the same job that Smith did in the world final. Hemingway still second. Looks like Hemingway's coming under increasing pressure, though, in second place. I think really they're too busy sorting themselves out at the moment. Dave Tapping trying to get Hemingway out of the way, and the bend cutting up more and more as the night continues. There's Hemingway, Tapping in third, Mo Smith in fourth. Fifth place, looks like Bobby Burns, 471. But the Wolf is away. Wolfenden taking it fairly wide around that turn. Building up the speed around the banking. Into the closing stages now of this Grand National race. Indeed, the 2-lap marker has been shown to Wolfenden, and that car pile up in the fence, can't make out the number on it. There goes the Wolf. Way down to second place. Oh, an attempt there, beautiful attempt by Mo Smith. Unsuccessful, though, and Phil Hemingway. And as Mo Smith fails his fellow Southerner, Bobby Burns is through, and that's the checkered flag. Well, Wolfenden was way clear. The race there was for second, third and fourth in the Grand National. Wolfenden won in 190. Second place there. Second place right on the line going to Phil Hemingway, 474. Third place, 471, Bobby Burns. Fourth place to 51, Mo Smith. Marvellous end to the race there for second, third and fourth. With Wolfenden half a lap clear, it didn't really matter. That race for second, third and fourth where the action was at the end. But Wolfenden, a superb drive, winning the Grand National qualifying round here tonight at Bradford.